Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Judi and this is Running Sew and Sew, and I want to start by saying a massive thank you to everyone for all your lovely messages when I got COVID. And I've got my tea here, but I thought you might like to see my mug. There it goes. I taught my daughter to share, so she gave me COVID. And my battery's flashing. Don't believe it. Cheers folks, I'll get on with this in a minute. So this is my contribution to Sew Frugal 2022. I have seen some of the most amazing vlogs from everybody to date, and I'm absolutely amazed by them. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to tell you that yesterday we had Devon thread tails and my super power, and I'm looking forward to that. That's ridiculous. I think I've got COVID brain. I'm not even going to tell you what I've just done. I'm vlogging, I'm filming this in advance, and I've just said I'm looking forward to the one that is the vlog that is the day before me. It's actually tomorrow, because I'm filming this on Thursday the 10th. My vlog is due on the 12th. I have got COVID brain, believe me. I just can't, this is just crazy. I'm going to leave that in. So tomorrow, because this is the 10th, I'm going to be watching Devon thread tails, and I love Devon thread tails, and my super power. Now, I've not come across my super power, but I love the name Soper. My super power. And then tomorrow, which is the 13th, you will have Elle and the Stitches and Sequoia Lynn sews. Now, Elle and the Stitches, I think, and forgive me if I'm wrong, I think she's part of the Tipsy Sewers podcast, and if you've not watched it, oh God, you can tell where my brain is. This is going to be quite an interesting vlog. Tipsy Sewers, it's a podcast, you need to listen to it. I listen to it when I'm walking the dogs. Everybody must think, what the heck am I laughing at? It's a challenge that started last year. Please excuse Maggie, I'm not going to feed her just yet. The challenge started last year with Frugal Frocks 21, and this year it is So Frugal, and they have extended the range. We can either do another dress or separates, or a coat or a jumper. It's entirely up to you, but the pattern must be free to all. So not one that you've had from a magazine. It can be one that you have drafted yourself or one that you have found online. So you make up your garment during the month of March, and you reveal it on Instagram with the hashtag SewFrugal22. I've put it just here, and it will be in the description box. Now, I've thought long and hard about what I'm going to do for this challenge this year, and I've decided that I'm going to do something that is accessible to everyone, and I'm going to share some of my accumulated knowledge, and I'm going to show you how to draft a pattern for a skirt, which is a simple A-line skirt with buttons up the front. It is so easy. You need 3 measurements. You need your natural waist, 2, you need your hip, and 3, you need the measurement from your natural waist to your hip. Your natural waist is here, your hip line is here, and it's the distance between the two. So your natural waist, you could put a string around it, and it's where that string sits most comfortably. Your hip line, point the widest point, and if you have a little mark, you can put a string on your hip, and you can measure where that string is, and then it's the distance. And if you keep your waist string on your natural waist, it's where something sits comfortable, most comfortably on you, and it's the distance between the two. Would you please excuse my dog? She has just been for a walk and she seems to think she needs feeding. Now, drafting a pattern is not difficult. You will need a pencil sharpener, a tape measure, and a straight edge. Now, I have got this really long metal ruler. Now, I obviously did a pattern cutting course 30 odd years ago. No, not 30 odd years ago, 25. How long's my mother been gone? Oh, I don't know, I was doing it in 95 when my mother died. And I started it before she died. So I've got this long ruler that my husband bought me there. But you can use a simple straight edge like this. This is just a quilting ruler. And this is one of these Tailor's Curve pattern making rulers. I've had it for years. Look, you can see how scratched it is. But you'll need it for your curve. Now you can use a flexi curve. Somewhere I have a flexi curve, but if I tried to find it now, I wouldn't be able to. Now, I am going to tilt my camera down and I'm going to talk you through the process. But before we do, let me show you the fabric that I'm going to use to make this skirt. It is just it's got a little bit of stretch to it. The tiniest bit of stretch. I'm talking, I think, maybe 1% stretch. And if you remember the vlog I did last year, I used a fabric that I'd bought in a French fabric shop in Annecy in the Alps. I bought this at the same time. It is simply a piece of strong cotton. It's an even weave, strong cotton, navy blue fabric. It's perfect for skirts. And this is the fabric I want to use. Now, the reason I am doing a simple skirt is everybody can make it, and then you will have the basis from which you can make a skirt that will fit you. But for this pattern, I'm going to use the block and I'm going to alter the block I've got. You should toile it, but because it is a simple, darted, A-line skirt, I will be able to alter it from where I am. And when I make this skirt, I will record the process of making it, and at that point you will see any alterations that I have to make to the fitting. The reason I'm doing this is something that Rachel suggested to me, and she said, you know, as you're doing your vlogs, Judi, you need to share your expertise, and I'm hopeless at doing things like that. I really am not the best person for blowing my own trumpet or anything like that. I'm absolutely hopeless. So, let us commence. Oh, you may need glue. Now, you need a large piece of paper to do this, but we sewists are very good at tiling paper together. And I thought I could use a piece of my tracing paper that I'm fortunate enough to have in my sewing cupboard. Then I thought, not everybody's going to have a large roll of tracing paper. What could I use? So I went to the photocopying room at school, and out of there I removed from the waste paper basket the scraps of paper that people had put in. Look, bits with typing on the bottom. It's been stuffed in recycling, and I thought, right, I can use that. Look, a year 3 English exam. I've got a whole load of paper, so I'm going to tile that together. So here we go. Now, obviously, I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to work upside down. So this is where I will have the top of my skirt, so you can see it going down. And please do not worry, I'm going to put the instructions in the description box. So the first thing you need to do is to get your straight edge like so. And I'm going to draw a line at the top so I know exactly where I want the top of this to be. In my skirts, I'm going to draw a line down, and I need to square it out. And I'm not happy with the way my line is sitting, so what I'm going to do is to change it. So I'm going to use them both like that. I'm going to create my right angle. So I now know that I have got a right angle here, and this is so important. Accuracy is so important. You can't just guess when you're doing your pattern cutting. If the paper's not straight, it doesn't matter, as long as you have got your lines straight. So here's my line across here, and this is my vertical line here that I'm just on now. And now I'm going to take this over, and I can use the cross lines on the quilting ruler to ensure that I keep the vertical nice and straight. And at the top here, at this corner here, at that cross here, is point number 1. Across the top here, you have from 1, 2 is going to be across here. Now that is half your hip measurement, and to that you need to add 1.5 centimetres. So it is half your hip plus 1.5. And I'm going to use my long ruler here to measure that, because I have worked out my measurements, and I'm sorry, but I'm not sharing them with you. All I know is that at the moment I am holding an extra weight, and I know that I can make this skirt to fit me because I am fitting it myself to my measurements. And then you square out and you draw a line down. Now, the next one, the lines at the bottom here, will be your desired length. So at the moment, I'm not actually going to put it, but point 3 is down from point 1, so that is here, and then point 4 is the same, the length of your skirt. So let's say, for example, I wanted my skirt 21 inches long. I used the line at the top here, I measured down 21 inches, that is point 3, and across I do the same again, 21 inches, down, that is point 4, and then using my ruler I should be able to join the two together on 2 absolutely bang straight lines, and then I can draw across. The next thing we're going to add on is your waist to your hip measurement. Now I have measured mine, and my waist to hip, I'm going to tell you that one is 19 centimetres. So I can use anything as long as it is accurate. And as you know, I've got various rulers here. So I am going to use this ruler here. It is 19 centimetres. So line it up. That's when 0.5 is there. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So on this side here, which is actually your centre back, that is 0.5. And you do the same on what would be the centre front. That is 0.6. And you draw it across. And at this point here, I will draw this line in here. I will mark on 0.6, 0.5. I'm going to write on waist to hip. So now you're going to start to work on the back of the skirt. My 0.1 here, my 0.5 here, which is my waist to hip. Opposite on this side, I've got 6. And then back at the top here, I've got 0.2. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to get to what would be, this side is the centre back, and this side here is the centre front. So I now need to do the side seam, which has a sort of a dart in it, a curve built into it. So to get to that, I need to have a point somewhere in the centre, which will sit on this line here. And to get that measurement, I need to do 1/4 of my hip measurement, and I need to add 1.5 centimetres. So it is 1/4 of your hip plus 1.5 centimetres. So let me just do that, because I know exactly what that measurement is, because I have it written down. I am actually going to square down to where would be the bottom of my skirt. And remember to square, you're looking at the line you've already drawn, and you're looking at creating that right angle. So I've got the line. Let me just put see if I can get my line in a bit deeper. I could use Sharpies, but I really don't want to, because they do muck the rulers up. And hopefully I won't regret it, and I'll try and get it off. It is a permanent marker pen, but there we go across here. So this is my line 1 to 2. 1 to 2, and hopefully you can see that a little clearer. And I'm now going to mark on what is point this is 0.7. I'm going to mark on 0.9, which is 1/4 of my natural waist plus 4 centimetres. So it's 1/4 of my natural waist plus 4 centimetres. And that is 0.9. Now I need to put a marker in to show where the top of the waist is. Now, here, this line is 1.25 centimetres, and I am going to mark that up with my pencil because it's so fine. That is 0.10. Right, so now what I am going to do is I am going to join 0.7 to 0.10, and I am going to use the curve on my tailor's pattern marker. And it is a question of juggling it around so that it will fit, and it will. So here we have 7. Now if not, if you do not have one, you could lay on a piece of thread and try to get that to join up. The other join I need to do, and this 0.10 to 0.1, and it is a very shallow curve. And the ideal curve for this is going to be inside the ruler. And I'm going to draw it in slight little bits, looking at where 10 is, up to here. Just try and join it slightly, a little bit better here. There we go. So there we go. And that is one side. Now the next thing you need to do is to measure the line between point number 1, and I want to try and zoom in here because this is the important bit. Oh, that's better. So I have now, you can see where I've put the curve in here. You can see where I have the curve in here. And I'm going to draw a line from point number 10 to point number 1. And I am going to measure it. And at that point, I'm going to divide it into 3. So this is, for me, is going, I'm going to start to give away my weight. That is a 24 centimetre line. I'm going to divide it into 3. So that means that my first, it divides by, 24 divided by 3 is 8. So the first line is going to be at 8 centimetres and the next one will be at 16 centimetres. She says going for 2 8s. You then square up with line number 1. You square up against line 1 to 2 and you draw a line down. Don't worry about the length of that line at the moment. And I'm just going to draw those lines in. I'm going to dot them in using my permanent marker pen. And also, while I've got the permanent marker pen in my hand, I'm going to draw in my curve between 10 and 7 for you to see. And I'm going to draw in my curve between 10 and 1. It's only a very gentle curve. Can you see there? Let me just pull the camera out so you can see a bit more. Whoops. And that is the top. So the next thing is you're going to do the dart lengths. And the dart lengths, well, this will be 14 and this will be 13. And, hold on, let me just double check. This is point 11. This is point 12. And between, I'm checking my notes here, 11 and 13, it is a 14 centimetre line. So this is point 13 and that is at 14 centimetres, so that is 13. And this one here is 13 centimetres. 13 centimetres there. And what you do is at the top here, the width of the dart is actually a 2 centimetre dart. So where you've got point 11, we've got your top of your dart here, where you've got your point. Let me see if I can pull it in again. That's great. So you can see where I've got point 11 here at the top. You need to draw a line once. You need to put center it up with, okay, let's center it up properly here on 0, because I've got 20 centimeters that side and 20 centimeters that side. I've got 0 in the middle. I've got 1 centimeter there, 1 centimeter there, and the same again on 12. 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, and they line up with your points down here, which is 13. And you draw it in like so, and like, oops. So I'm going to get a magic sponge to get any kind of marks off this. One there, and one there. That is the back of your skirt drafted. Now we do the front of the skirt. Working on the front part of the dress, and it works in exactly the same way. So for the front, I need to draw a line from point 2 to a new point 15, and that is 1/4 of your natural waist plus 2.5 centimeters. And I have got my measurement here. It is always easier to go through. I shall give you the measurement guide of the 2 measurements that you absolutely need, and I will give you those, and it's really important that you have those written down and that you put in the measurements that you need in advance. So let me have a look here. We have got, then we draw the line, which is 15 here, and just as we did between 9 and 10 on this side on the back, on this side we do 1.25, and we're drawing 15 to 16, and again you then draw your line. You need one line that goes 2 to 16 as such, and then you need to draw your little concave line in here, your nice little line. Just fiddle around with your ruler until you get the line you want. You don't want it to dip too low, but you want it to be nicely shaped. And then halfway through there you are putting the one dart in. Now the dart at the front, it is actually 1/3, so you're looking what we call 16 to 17, and 17 is going to come from the side seam back towards the centre front, and you measure the line and it's 1/3. Now that line for me is exactly what it needs to be, so I need to do 1/3 of 21, which is 7, 1/3 of 1 of 15, so I am looking at 7.5 centimetres, and there we have the line here. So this one here is 15, then 16, it's all done with numbers. 17, my dart length, 18, it is 12 centimetres, and again the width of the dart, always slightly bigger dart. So this dart here is going down 12 centimetres, and the width of the dart here is actually 2.5 centimetres. So we actually need, on each side, 1.25 centimetres. And then you draw down to draw in your dart. And the dart is actually taken from the curved line. So I'm going to pop in the lines. I also need to draw in my curved line from point 16 to point 7, which is down here. So I shall pull out my camera. So now I need to draw in this line here up to point 15. So let me just draw this in here. So here's my curved line. There's my curved line. And I need another one to go in down here that matches. Perfect there. I've got a perfect line. I'm going to draw it on. Look at that. And that, everybody, is your skirt block. Now, the next thing you must do is, you've got your skirt piece like so. The next thing you need to do is to mark on, and I always do it now, is to mark on my grain lines. Now, I've marked on the back here that this is the back piece and that is the centre back. this is the front piece, and this would be the centre front just here, like so here. Now, when you are doing a pattern that you've drafted yourself, you cut out the darts, and you don't cut them out to cut them out, you know, literally, when you are sewing it up. But the reason I'm cutting my darts out is that I want to create an A-line skirt. So I need to cut out my darts. And I am going to close my darts. So I've cut out my darts, and next up is marking the grain line. So again, I need my felt tip pen. I go to the centre back, which is here. To do my grain line, I'm going to draw the grain line quite close to the centre back. I'm going to lay a straight line against here, and then I'm going to draw on. And the one thing you must remember when you are doing your own patterns, you need to remember you've not got seam allowances, so you have to add your seam allowances on. There's the back. Now the centre front, I've turned it towards me. I want this quite close to the centre. Now, I need that on. That's it, that's drawn on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down a line that is straight down from the dart to the bottom of the skirt, and this is what is going to give me the A-line effect. And on the back I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to find that line here, which is my 5 to 7 line. I'm laying a straight from the skirt across it, and I'm going to drop down a line. And I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to drop down a line. Now I have kept the scraps of paper. The next thing I'm going to do is to start to create the A-line on the back. I might recommend at this point that if you have sellotape, it's very good to have some sellotape to hand. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut up to the bottom of the dart, and you go in within a micromillimetre of your dart. There, and you then close up the dart, and it opens up the bottom of the skirt. I shall do it again here for you. You open up the dart, and close up the dart here. So you're cutting up from the bottom. Maggie, can you leave me alone, please? She's hugging my leg. I'll let you think, you can guess what she's trying to do to me. There. And let me pull that out. As you open up, once you've cut the darts out here, and then you've cut up that line, it will automatically open up the skirt, and that will give you your A-line shape, and that's what I'm after. So there's the back. Now you need to fill in these gaps that you have created, and I just use the scraps that I have around me. It's easier, it's more frugal. So I'm just going to cut these here, being careful not to cut the pattern that I am trying to make. And that one will go there, and I will stick that down, and I will do the same with that side. Then I'm going to open up the front and do exactly the same. So I'm going to put you onto time lapse so I can get on with that bit. Okay, I'm back with you, and I hope you stuck with me for this. We now have the front piece of the skirt in front. This is now in front of me, and I'm going to turn it round so that you can see it. Here is my centre front. And in fact, let me draw on the centre front so that you can clearly see where it is. This is providing it'll let me do it with the glue that I've used. And I have used, so far I've just used glue, and I've used scraps of paper that have been lying around my house. Now I would like my skirt to be buttoned up the front. If you just want a standard skirt with a zip in it, you need to add on your seam allowances, and you can put your zip in your centre back or in a side seam, and that would be your skirt. You would then, if you were just doing a simple skirt, you would trace off your, let me show you on the back, mark on, let me just try and remember it, I can't visualise it, 6 centimetres all the way down to trace off your waistband. Mark it off like so, and this is where you would need to use a nice sort of like, I've got a Sharpie here that I'm using, it was the one that was in the kitchen drawer. You would trace off your waistband because you could see through it. Let me just trace it off, and that's dinner ready, and I want to get this done before I have my dinner. There's your back. Trace it off here, round here like so, and I'm going to use this because I will need this, and this is, and this, because this is my back, I would then measure through correctly to put on my grain line, making it nice and straight to the back, and there would be my grain line, and this is the back waist facing, because I don't want a waistband, I just want a faced waist, and this would be the back facing. I've done that very much in haste to show you, and you would then do exactly the same to the front here, but I would like to put a button placket down the front. Now I am going to put the button placket on for both of them, on both sides, and on one side it will be folded back on itself, whereas on the other side it will only be folded back slightly so it can come over the front. So on the right hand side I am growing on an element of skirt, but on the other side I only need a little bit. And the width of my button placket, because I don't want it to be too large, I don't want a huge button placket. I want it to be, I'm going from inches to centimetres to inches. I would want it to be approximately 3 centimetres. So I would mark it down 3 centimetres, and then I would say that this is my fold. And on the side where the buttons are going, it would be folded back and folded in on itself, and then I would put another 3 on, 3 centimetres on, and draw another line, because on the side where it is going over the front it will fold back on itself, and it'll need a hemline, it'll be caught down, and that is where the buttons will go. And it is as simple as that. Now I have probably done this vlog slightly too quickly. If any of you want to do a skirt like this and want any questions answered, would you please send me a message or put me a message in the box below, and I would more than happily answer your questions. If you wanted a straight skirt, you would trace the waistband in exactly the same way, but you would not open up these. And at your centre back, you can just open it up to there and just fold that back and create a little split up the back. It is better if you line it. So, I hope you've enjoyed my very speedy pattern draft. I know what I'm doing. I have done this several times. It is such an easy thing to do. And you can create a skirt that fits yourself so easily. There are lots of adaptations that you can do. I want a skirt with buttons at the front, and I thought I'm going to make my own pattern because I know that my skirt will fit me if I do that. So it hasn't been the easiest thing to film, but I will put in a picture of the back and a picture of the front. Any questions, drop me a comment below, or in the description box you will see that I do now have an email account, and you can email me there if you so wish. So thank you ever so much for joining me, and don't forget, if you're taking part in the challenge, to put your garment on Instagram on the 31st of March with the hashtag SewFrugal22, and maybe you can go into the prize draw too to win one of the fantastic prizes that you will see that Sam at Frugalissima is publishing on Instagram and on YouTube on a regular basis. So thank you for joining me. Do join in with Sew Frugal, and I will see you all again very soon.